Marco. Marco, stop harassing Luna. Eyeing him up. Hey. Howdy, howdy. Another day in paradise, am I right, y'all? Am I right? Hey, hey. Marco, he's such an asshole. He just came up to the dog and started scratching on the couch, and then scared the dog away and took its spot. It's adorable. You're such a little troublemaker, you little fucker. Ba, 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 ba. Yo, Matthew, can you chill for a moment? Yo, Matt, chill for a moment. We're trying to catch up to you. We probably don't need it unless you really want one. I mean, I have one too. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just use mine. Once we get into a place where we can. Nah, we don't need to. We're like 2 inches away. uh, Testing 1 2. Howdy, Dave. Yeah, I was just playing Apex Legends, and we won a round, and then I kicked ass on a second round, but didn't win. Shame. Real shame, real shame. But no, we're just big vibing. Yeah, how's it going? Back. Nice. Back in play. All right, that's good. That's good, my dude. I'm also doing all right. Big vibes, big vibes. Especially if they're getting that dub, my dude. Feels good, man. May mean absolutely nothing, but you get that dub in Apex. Did you Uber today? Yeah, a little bit. Not really though. I didn't really feel like it, so I was just like, I'll do a little bit of Ubering. So I got like $20 to because I went to Taco Bell today and I ordered like $8 worth of food, all vegan, of course. And yeah, after that, I was just like, I need to make money because I spent money. And so therefore, I made like $20 just to compensate for the money that I spent today. But I really didn't feel like working. So I was being lazy. Last 2 days been lazy. Nice. Hell yeah, my dude. Just big lazy vibes. Big lazy vibes. But that is the way of evolution, you just gotta minimize one's suffering. Not really much suffering. It has nothing to do with being lazy. I'm necessarily there's plenty of hardworking effortless. But for me, I like to minimize myself. Others will try to maximize just efficiency at the cost of their own suffering. And I'm just like, I try to do that, but at the minimization of my suffering as well. It's a difficult balance. A difficult balance. Yo, me and this dude are totally gonna lose because our other teammate left. So we got this. We're gonna get far. Tristan started a new channel. He needs subs. I'm not gonna sub to Tristan. I don't know who Tristan is, but I'm not gonna sub to Tristan unless Tristan's deserving my subs. I've unsubbed from people who are pretty funny lately, and I'm just like they're not worthy of my time. So I'm like it would have to be pretty amusing or worthwhile when it comes to dialogue to make me want to sub to them. At this point, I've kind of transcended the need for entertainment. At this point, I just have video games and activism. You must sub. I don't know about that, home slice. I don't know about that. What does this do? Unlock a wingman. Will I use the Camilla AI to ask effortless questions? No, I will not ask the Lolly AI questions anymore. It doesn't understand effortlessism. I mean, maybe I will if I'm really bored, but and I like happen to stumble across it. But I'm not gonna ask the AI questions just because it's like not very based. It just kind of answers like it doesn't really answer the question. It just kind of tries to avoid ethics and morality. Where's my cat? My cat is just laying right next to me. Explain what ethylism is. Ethylism is the belief that everything in life is, in terms of what you view as good, is a byproduct of evolutionary means to propagate your genes, and therefore relatively useless. Uh, it's just and oop, I missed. Fuck. And okay, I'm in a battle right now, but I'm gonna try to explain this. Okay, so basically, yeah, pain and bad experience generates value. Evolution basically makes everything pretty much just arbitrary goobly-gook. Everything you value can be explained as just means to propagate the gene. And yeah, don't bring people into existence or animals into existence, in short. I mean, there's more elaborate explanations, which you can just look at ethylism.com for. But basically, I mean, if you believe in evolution, it pretty much just blows God out of the water. It blows meaning for all these silly arbitrary bullshit out of the water. We know why you do them all. It's no longer whimsical and magical. It's just evolution. And yeah, basically that is what ethylism is. It's anti-life. It's life spelled backwards. By the power of okay. Yeah, Dave, it sounds like you're just gonna stir the pot because well, I don't know why we need to start with war with Dragon. One, Dragon's useless. He doesn't know shit for shat when it comes to ethics. He's just talking nonsense, a little goober. And yeah, it's just in fighting for no reason. He's a pro mortalist. Testing 1 2. Yeah, there we go. And I am charging my headset because it keeps fucking turning off. Anyways, yeah, nothing like that would be worth my time. String a fight with some silly troll pro mortalist who doesn't know shit for shat in regards to what is good for the planet. And not the planet, but like what is good for like the planet isn't all like sentient beings on this earth. He's just like, ooh, kill yourself, as if that would somehow help the fact that billions upon billions, literally quadrillions of animals are just fucking tearing each other apart and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh yeah, of course, killing myself is gonna somehow help that this problem, of course. So no, I'm not gonna start a war with a dense idiot like I am the dragon. Testing 1 2.
Believe that there's something fundamentally broken in two pink moon epholist antinatalists plus. It's just life spelled backwards. Just a way of saying I believe that there's something fundamentally broken in the natural mechanism. It is unintelligent design, and that has a consequence. Unintelligent design means insufficient. Yeah, response video to Pink Moon. And yeah, on the subject of ephilism. An explanation because some people have complained that there's not a simple description of what it is to be antinatalist plus, or whatever you want to call it, epilist. So yeah, it's just life spelled backwards. Just a way of saying I believe that there's something fundamentally broken in the natural mechanism, that it is unintelligent design, and that has a consequence. That unintelligent design means insufficient efficiency in the system, and it means that the product of the system, the living things, are likewise not likely to be efficiently functioning. That means they're um, taking, not on purpose, but just in function, consuming more than they produce, that they have nothing they can produce. So I've used terms like zero sum game to describe life, because you're basically just stealing energy perpetually to replicate a molecule. And then overall, it's just 4 billion years of molecular modification. You're just modifying molecules, declaring a winner based on this crude standard of victory. And yeah, through that process, it acquires complexity, but the basic function is the same. The function is survival um, by any mechanism, any means possible. Um, Whatever can happen. No umpires, no rules, no Marcus of Queensberry sophistication, um, just a blood sport, uh, and for nothing. No, nothing in the end. Just a raised hand. I win, you die, just to play it all over again. Two more molecules enter. Molecule leaves and gets, clonked over the head on his way out. Um, there's no escaping the game, and it's a crude and stupid game, and so that's why life is spelled backwards, because it is contrary to anything progressive or um, yeah. There's no forward vision here. There's no place for the game to go. The only function our intelligence has is cleaning up the mess our biology makes. Our needs, desires, our addictions. It's consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction. Um, it's just a consuming for the sake of replicating a molecule, and we do it through cannibalizing our own sentient kind, um, um, through a process of natural addictions. Um, Built-in mechanisms that make us hungry for a carrot, and the carrot is synthetic. It's made out of contrived um, feelings of value, senses of value that aren't that have no real substance. That they're just there because they make us eat and procreate and do what's necessary to sustain the chemical composition, the variety of chemistry, the shape of a molecule, and that's it. And that's not good enough. That's the simple description. Is that it's an insufficient game, like tic tac toe. Once you're intelligent, it doesn't have any. It's no playability. It's a game for dumb things, and that's what life is. It's a game for dumb things. Smart things aren't going to find it graceful enough, or fair enough, or just enough, or reasonable, or sensible. You're going to find it just expensive and futile and foolish, and that it can only satisfy perceptual value. Um, there's no Martians, and there's no Venusans, and there's no Venisons, or Plutonians, or Moonicans, or any of these other planets, and we don't miss any of those civilizations, just as our civilization would not be missed. It's only our attachment that makes it seem important. And it's just for that sake of a seemed perception that we impose all this wasted suffering, all these organisms that are existing in the slaughterhouse, that someday will pick the short straw and they'll meet their individual doom, and the doom will just keep on, the straws will just keep being pulled, and our names will change and our faces will change, but the stories will be the same. It'll be the same tragedy, the same stupid waste, the same jeopardy, the same screams, uh, for nothing, to accomplish nothing but to satisfy a notion in heads that says we need to be here. Nothing else. Just a notion in their head. No, nothing real. We're not a tire on the universe's car. We're not. We're not anything that can be described as a functional device in terms of use, our purpose, our function. As stated, our intelligence only exists because it was a scheming tool, because it made us better at stealing star energy from other organisms. And that's the only reason why it exists. And it still remains its only function is to be used as a scheming tool to derive gratification or satisfaction of our selfish individual desires. And most of the human race is completely still owned by that nonsense. They still are more obedient to the notions of nepotism, family superiority, nationalism, racism, than they are devoted to any high-minded ideal of civilization or decency or justice or fairness. Um, Life is a sad and tragic story in nature, and humanity has done nothing to write a better chapter in the life book. We've disgraced our intelligence, insulted it, brutalized it, perverted it to sick and depraved purposes. And it's all over our culture, all over our economic systems, all over our entertainment. We are American Idol at the core. We're just crass and stupid and superficial and yeah, grotesque. Um, and it's for all, and again, it's at this price of the suffering. I mean, I could go on. You go on for the suffering forever. You could explain and describe the horrible death that will meet, that will be the fate of most living sentient creatures. There will be a last gasp, and there won't be any fun. There will be a long, hard, nasty, ugly road to that last breath. And as long as people aren't in that sinking boat at the moment, they're just going to party and pretend they're all yachting, even though they're on the Titanic, and the truth is written everywhere if they'll open their eyes and look at it, that they're on a boat that's going to sink, and they should do something, uh, to protect the women and children first. They should get them off the boat. Quit playing games with the welfare of sentient creatures to accomplish nothing but sail on a stupid boat around in a stupid circle of stupid life. All that kind of crap. So, anyway, that's my definition of ethylism. It's really just the consequences of unintelligent design. The fact that there is no God means there is no wisdom in creation. It's just a byproduct of the complexification, the condensation of matter. We are, we are an infestation on a planet and little else. Just very fancy. We're a very fancy mold, but that's still all we are. We just still are playing the same game a mold is playing, and it's a dumb game. Expensive. Anyway, probably longer than I should have made this video. But anyway, that's what it is there. It's done. a little selling. I'm just a little sick of the whole. Yeah, really is just so obvious, and really, people are so far from taking any responsibility for dealing with what reality is. Um, the just the the crudeness of every mechanism inside of you. The mechanisms right now, the little chemical machines maintaining your cells and maintaining the chromosomes in those cells. Tremendous complexity, and all for a stupid purpose to make a machine that goes into an arena and fights with other machines to simply say, I win, and then die. So its sons and daughters can play the same game all over again. It's insidious. Anyway, so until next time, I hit the button. All right, time for another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here. Robot number, whatever. Yeah, 17,643,497. Something like that. Anyway, yeah, making a video. All right, making a video about a video I made already. And, it's about a subject I already talked about. Yeah, so I'll talk some more about the subject, I guess,
Uh,
which is just the idea of what's it take to convince people or to motivate people to say at least the right thing regarding the facts of our circumstance, which is pretty bleak in terms of being these little bugs, trapped in a little bug vial. And it's kind of a ugly environment we exist in, full of rotting and decomposing bugs. And, there's the stench, of having to witness an awful lot of unnecessary and wasted pain and suffering, and watch things happen to our relatives and friends and blah blah blah. And yeah, so it's pretty nasty in this fish tank. Lots of waste we have to swim through and consume, you know, uh, and tolerate. Yeah. Uh, Lots of just crap. Same old, the same old stories, just rewriting them over and over again. The same old Shakespearean tragedies. Yeah, over and over and over. Blah blah blah. Redundant. Yeah. Now there are some bubbles, little shiny bubbles now and then. Some little funny thing happens. You have a little tiny bit of fun, but most of it is kind of tedious and irritating and fatiguing. Yuck. Anyway, so yeah, let's not make more of them. Just quit making fish tanks and quit putting fish in them. Until such time as you can do it in some kind of free way where there's just absolutely no downside. It's all up. No victims. Nobody gets tortured for it. You don't have to kill anything. You don't have to rape any 9-year-old girls to make your little world. So let's get to that point before we start saying, "Oh, go ahead. What the hell?" Why would you even say that, though? There's no point. No, there's no point in saying it. Anyway, there's nothing. Yeah, there's just no. There's no point. Is the point of the video. So anyway, I was trying to get to that through these different ways of pointing out how religion's really a big problem. So I sort of wanted to mention that the delusion. It's not a harmless God delusion. It's a very harmful God delusion. It doesn't make people decent and nice. It makes them rude and obnoxious, imposing, arrogant. in just the nastiest way possible, and then they arrogantly impose suffering on people for no good reason, but because they have some notion that God says so. God says you should die badly. Fuck you. That's really stupid. Yeah. Anyway, so let's play some of the video, and we'll see where it provokes my reflexive brain to say some reflexive thing relevant to the subject. Sure, they're kids, um, and they're really not. They really have no interest in defending what they're doing. Right. So it's just this idea that it's this high risk game they're playing with their children. They haven't bought insurance. There's daggers on the ground. There's all kinds of swords of Damocles hanging from above. You throw them on the tightrope and play this game like you're doing them a favor, and you really have no way of covering the actual the disaster. So the disaster happens. There's no undo button. There's no redo button. There's no start over button. There's just no buttons that fix it. You just sit there and say, "Well, whatever. It didn't happen to me." I mean, there's really no way to escape the grotesque harm you have imposed because you have a silly notion that somehow you were serving some purpose when all you served was torture. That's what you served. These still stupid, old, archaic, moronic stories. Yeah. So I was doing some of the religious thing, just why? It's so stupid. And so later I sort of point out it's not really not about the story. It's about the social infrastructure. It's about playing bingo. Really, it's about friends, and it's about you know feeling secure and all this kind of bullshit. And atheists have to just come up with some way of mimicking some of that crap, even though it's not their style, to pretend. uh, you know uh, they have to create some sort of incentive just to make their bandwagon seem like the better bandwagon, and that's all the people really care about it were the perks. So you just have to create some perks. I mean, whatever it takes, dancing girls, something, um, you know, perspective. They're putting things in the environment that aren't in the environment. Yeah, so nature or intelligence does that. It gives you the capacity to imagine the world. Okay, and by imagining it, you can imagine it with all kinds of monsters in it. And therefore, you'll be aware of the fact that you have to be careful because there could be a monster loose. So it gives us this capacity to see more, and that's when we should be using that capacity to see the more of. It's more than just a toy. It's more than a kitten. It's the kitten grows up. I mean, we should be able to see the future and see your child's death. You should be able to see that and recognize, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to impose death on something? And recognize that's not a good idea. No, until they get rid of that part, maybe I'm not going to bother. Yeah. I don't have any desperate need to torture something for my gratification, whatever the gratification I'm getting anyway, which is hard to imagine anyway. You don't have to do much thinking to see the downsides of having kids. I mean, they're all over the place, frankly, in terms of how they will destroy the meaning of your life as you try to create meaning for your children. That's if you take it at all seriously. That's what you're going to try to do. You don't take it too seriously, and then you just hire it done and just pretend. I don't know. It's all some sort of pantomime play you're doing or something. I don't know. A dance. It's really trivial then. 100 kids to make one kid not get tooth decay, to cure it of tooth decay. Yeah, so we're getting this tiny advantage for this huge cost of, evolution basically kills so many to perfect tiny little improvements in the design. And to endorse that system, you got to be a sadistic lunatic. You have to be a child molesting, mass murdering kook. to sit there and say, yeah, let's just keep doing that. Let's keep playing by those moronic rules of a ton of failure for a tiny little. Oh, I jumped in, a millimeter higher. No, it's not. The millimeter isn't worth what you're paying for it. They're 13 years old, decide to have kids. All right, so yeah, that's the other problem is that this isn't about decisions. It really isn't about thinking or talking or having a conversation. It's just about the fact that we've created an infrastructure that endorses the behavior, and that endorsement is a huge mistake. And that, frankly, the
Stop
infrastructure
endorsing
should be
having
saying, you're
kids.
not going to win. Okay, we're not going to be bribed by you having
Too
kids.
much
We're not going to
welfare
give you a
going into
free
people having
life
kids.
because you had kids. We're not going to pay for it, and all that kind of crap. They have to really create a hard line in terms of creating a reward and punishment system that's somewhere coherent to the behavior you should be endorsing or supporting or defending or encouraging. And obviously, we don't have that right now in their environment and drawing conclusions. So if they don't have the personal experience, I mean, in a fair fight, not having kids wins huge, because if people actually had to pay the full price for having kids, if they couldn't steal money from the people that don't have kids, they'd really be in trouble. They'd really find out just how brutal it is and just how much of their life they have to compromise for this pretense of, doing something good. Yeah. No, you're just making another victim, and they're likely just to make a mess, frankly, a mess that nobody will clean up. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I can't even. Some I'm having a hard time imagining what's motivating somebody to do something. I don't know exactly what it was, but just the idea probably of having kids. I mean, what's the appeal? Um, there's just so much danger in it, and so many ways to fuck it up. Why the hell would I pretend I can play that instrument? Or who have died badly and all of that kind of crap. Yeah, so we could use the testimony of all those people, the people who have, it'd be better if people talked about what their life was after they lived it all instead of talking before they've lived it all. So, I mean, I could talk about the risks and the dangers and how you should have this negative perspective because I don't have to account for the biggest negative, which is dying, and how big a price that actually is, and how most people pay a huge price for it. Now, I would say the catastrophic price sometimes. I mean, the price is just so bad. It happens in such an insidious and horrible way. And, people having their own kids fighting over their possessions, and, they get the Alzheimer's, and I mean, all of this terrible stuff that happens to people, and just disgusting. And, some people talking about how great it is when they haven't done the biggest negative part of it yet. It's kind of bullshit. Oh, I know it's worth it. You're telling somebody you know it's worth it and you haven't done it yet. That's really lame, frankly. As a philosophical position, that's a pretty lame philosophical position for you to tell somebody else, I know it's worth it. You're going to like it. It's going to be profitable, even though you haven't lived the biggest, deficit part of it, the part that's going to be the roughest to get through. Button, for the disaster. uh, and to be so, yeah, it's not a video game. It's really, this is real life we're playing. We're the gods, so to speak. We got to take responsibility for every bit of it. um, and people are just evading that with this simplistic delusions of spirituality or meaning or some kind of purpose bullshit, when we're just bugs. We're really poorly designed. We're playing a really bad game. I mean, we're poorly designed playing a really bad
I mean,
game.
I
I mean,
agree. Resource
that's
extraction
the
from the
definition of
wealthy is
pretty
definitely one
goddamn
of the major
stupid.
causes of suffering in our world.
The
But
more
it's not the key
technically
cause, which is
precise
human
our
nature
life
and just the nature
becomes,
of life.
the more these decisions are going to be. All right, so that's sort of an argument about how, just that we're becoming more and more informed, in the sense at least more access to information, less stuff is hidden, and so that's why the argument that well, antinatalism will die out because they don't have kids to brainwash into being anti-natalist. Yeah, they're going to show up anyway because the 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 spawn of the natalists will be able to figure this out because it really doesn't take much of a brain to do it, frankly. And they're going to figure out how they can be smarter than their dopey parents were. They can be more responsible and more compassionate and more empathetic and give a damn about not being a rude, obnoxious, imposing asshole and a reckless slob. Okay, I mean, your parents maybe they eat hamburgers and drink cokes while they drive, and maybe you can figure out, hey, you know what? I probably shouldn't do that because that's really reckless and dumb. You might get somebody killed doing that. Yeah, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, so they can break the pattern of moronic. Fortunately, genetics ain't everything. And the idea of recognizing that this isn't some god game that we're playing, it's a real game. Yeah, so I mean, it's a big one. I mean, just the idea of it's a stifling truth once you accept that you're in this kind of cruel, brutal world, um, where everything you do is, you know, every bit of oxygen has been paid for, a high price has been paid for it. Something's had to live and die hard and all of that crap. And that's a burdensome bit of knowledge to know just how dangerous your life is for yourself and for everything around you. And every action is critically important in ways you can't understand or know because we don't have the crystal ball to see how it all plays out. We don't know when we're stepping in way too slippery a mud, all of that crap. So once there's no God to say it's his fault, then the only person's his fault is you, fucker. It's your fault. What did you do? You defended it? You placated it? You kissed its hairy, disgusting, dirty ass? Long to. But it's sort of obnoxious to the whole point of being an atheist is, yeah, so yeah, it's, atheists are about playing chess or something or doing these other things that have a little more dignity, let's just say. I mean, that is the atheists who aren't wasting their time just doing drugs. Um, you know, and so, yeah, it's not really a club. And they don't have club features. And unfortunately, the dumbasses need club features. They need a gang to go to the ballpark with. They don't like rooting from their black and white TV or whatever. Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head. Some example. Okay, so some example of an ironic price paid. Yeah, so I still probably don't have one. But there's probably lots of them. The rape victim who ends up, defending the next rape, that kind of thing. There's lots of this idiocy going on. Victims who just become perpetrators for the right reasons, because human beings recognized with a somber and respectful pause that, yeah, this isn't a good enough story. Yeah, okay, and that's all it comes down to is it doesn't take much intelligence to know that how is it polite to force something to play a game that's rather grisly and difficult, and the odds aren't very good that you're going to actually be a winner, and all that kind of crap. Why the fuck would I impose that on somebody? Um, yuck. And then on top of that, you're going to impose whatever their random shitty death will be. Uh, you call that "I love you"? Well, fuck you. Yeah, don't love me, please. Anyway, so that was pretty much the video, right? Yeah. Well, obviously, there was lots of little bits in between that, and so here and there, I might have caught a phrase or something. Who knows? So it's probably worth listening to. But you know, it isn't that complicated. So really, once you get it, you get it. You probably don't need me to keep saying it different ways because you probably just, yeah, I already heard that. Yeah, I already get that. I already, yeah. So I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, but if you are a confused believer in hope, then yeah, please pay more attention. Yeah. Anyway, all right, so that's enough of a video. So till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot.
Man. You may as well run away and get that LP, buddy, because you can't aim your gun. Just run.
nihilism is wrong.
The hang up part really is this idea of being able to separate our intelligence from our feeling thing. And that is sort of important because you really can't do philosophy any other way because feelings really do corrupt evaluations, our emotions. So in a way, we sort of have to do the philosophy thing in a sense by trying to separate ourselves from any personal involvement. Let's say that you weren't a player in the life game. You didn't have a little piece running the board anymore. It wasn't in the game anymore. Nothing you really loved or cared about was playing. None of your kids or none of your family or none of your anything that you could be emotionally tied to was in the game. And it was just this game, this thing, this maze thing. You watch the little creatures run around and chase and use each other, abuse each other, cheat each other, really fuck each other over. Every few decades, drop daisy cutters and torture and do all kinds of nutty, crappy stuff to each other. And every now and then a little AIDS virus and a little swine flu and a little this and a little that. Cholera here and there and some dysentery there and cancer, the usual stuff. Usual miseries, heart disease, car accidents, all kinds of shit going on. You realize that they're just chasing. I mean, they're just full of desire, like a heroin addict just has desire. He wants, he needs. So they're chasing and chasing. You also know the context. The whole thing gets initiated because a cell reproduces itself. Not on purpose, but just pops out of the petri dish or whatever. The chemistry just pops out of the test tube and just starts doing the reproducing thing. And it evolves into this whole maze game with these complex sentient organisms. You also know the context is the game for the organisms isn't about them being satisfied. That's not what nature wants from them. That's not what the DNA wants for them. It only has a role in the game because it's used to manipulate the little creatures. The desire thing, the satisfaction thing they're chasing, it gives them something to keep chasing after. They're really not supposed to be comfortable. They're not supposed to be satisfied. The chemistry wants them to kind of work really, really hard. It wants them always on guard. It wants them always ready. It wants them always planning ahead. So if they have any spare time, it wants to create some aggravation inside of them that says, I need to go eat, or I need to fuck, or I need to go collect acorns, something to disrupt their complacency.
I think it's a false opposition. I think you can be both right and happy.
It is just bullshit to say that there's no work to be done here, that playing the role of guardian and janitor is gonna be fun, because it's not gonna be fucking fun. And that's the whole fucking problem with this planet. There's too many people looking to say, where's mine, where's the fun part? No, it's not gonna work out that fucking way. That's why this place is gonna turn into a bigger pile of shit. There's nothing unpleasant about reality and evolution as a truth. It's just such a pile of shit. It's an incredibly disappointing origin. Consumption and reproduction for no purpose. What fucking good could come of that? It's fucking dangerous as hell. You know, a little monster that just consumes and reproduces with no brain, no ethics, no anything. That's a bastard origin. And to say that's some sort of pleasant thought is bullshit. The prospect that we have no control over the future, there's no automatic happily ever after, there's no God, fairy godmother, all that kind of shit. It's a little bit of a downer, sort of a false premise. We can all be perfectly happy with the truth. No, because that truth, evolution, and all the responsibilities imposed on us, the only intelligent, truly intelligent organism on the planet, biggest brother, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it, we're the eldest, the most mature, and so we've got to take responsibility. We got to do all the babysitting. We got to do all the cleaning up of the messes. It's the automatic, logical consequence. We have to clean up the evolutionary mess. We're going to have to do things that are going to be inherently unpleasant because, yeah, we are a bunch of apes running around on this planet. And all these apes can't do whatever the fuck they want, so somebody has to stop them. Even though they'd rather be contemplating the universe, doing some other bullshit, they're going to have to deal with these real-world problems of all this human conflict created because we are fucking goddamn monkeys. Monkeys with big, giant guns. It's just bullshit. Another one of these blanket endorsements of 4 billion years of animals eating each other. Like, oh, look at the splendor of it. Evolution's a benign and wonderful process. Because it creates silly humans who think they're accomplishing something when they build little pointy things in the desert. You know, they get all gooey and that's good enough for a 1,000-year war. It doesn't fill you with joy and happiness to realize we're insatiable little consuming and reproducing monsters, and that's what we are. We're selfish little bastards. That's the reality. That's the truth. And it seems you people are running just as fast from it as the religious fuckers. You're just running to different arms. You're running to the arms of the beautiful universe, and then running to the arms of the loving Jesus. Same difference.
Show a monkey to the average person, and he immediately begins to laugh. Monkeys appear so human, and they have a look of such serious concentration on what they're doing, that they parody mankind. We must either laugh at them or be horrified at a living caricature of ourselves. And so in self-defense we laugh, and regard monkeys tolerantly as objects of amusement. But their likeness to human beings is much more than skin deep, and from their history we can trace our own origins.
There's this scenario sitting here, right? This kind of unresolvable one. The human race is heading for all kinds of brick wall, all kinds of cliff. The planet itself, the natural world, exists falling down a cliff. Zillions of creatures every fucking year go through all kinds of unthinkable horror, okay, to feed us some calories so we can play these idiotic, moronic games. What is it that you need to save the human race to do? So more smelly old pig fucking shit assholes like you can sit there and talk about your smelly farts. We need to perpetuate the human race so boring, turdy pieces of crap like you can exist. You're going to torture. How many millions of animals are tortured for every single human fucking existence? Let's get real for just one goddamn millisecond and talk about the real price of your fucking cunt existence. Your real price of your fucking cunt existence is the fact that we have 2/3 of the human population living in shit under the oppression of 1% of the human population. And you assholes keep playing that game forever. You don't do a goddamn motherfucking thing to change anything. You just sit there and rub your little magic pots and talk about your smelly fucking farts, you useless piece of old shit. I mean, god damn it. Come up with an argument explaining exactly why you think there's something necessary here to preserve, and why exactly it would be the crime of the millennia, the zillennia, if you had a split second, not even a second death, but your death was that long. You deserve the worst of it, fucker. You deserve the worst of it. I hope you die as horridly as possible. I hope the pain has your nuts in your goddamn ears. It's so fucking excruciating, you piece of shit. I would, in fact, if I had to endure 1,000,000 years in an actual hell, where I actually had gasoline poured on me every day, torched forever, and poked with sticks, and all kinds of horror, for 1,000,000 fucking years to hit the red button, I would hit the fucking red button. That's how fucking disgusting you stupid, idiotic, moronic creatures are. You fucking sadistic, masochistic, Luna fucking ticks. Let's change the red button. It only kills motherfuckers who replicate or who will replicate. How about that bargain, fucker? Okay, if you're gonna fucking endorse this fucking bullshit, then you're responsible for the imposition, asshole. And you're fucking goddamn deserve every goddamn fucking anything somebody can shove up your goddamn fucking ass.
I understand and sympathize.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Your sympathy is useless, okay? You won't act. You won't defend. You'll just sit there and say a DNA molecule knows what it's doing. We've inherited this exploitive system. You're just like some rich motherfucker who's inherited a mansion and a fucking Rolls Royce and you're just running over the poor every fucking day. You've inherited it, and so you just say, well, it's the way it's always been. Our people have always run over the poor. We've always run over the animals. We've always consumed them and abused them. That's all you're doing, you stupid fucking cunt. You think you deserve anything? You deserve to fucking choke to death forever in a pile of fucking puke.
Frederick Jones, by all means, kill yourself and all your fellow clones.
Yeah, die, you ugly old fucking fart, die hard, ugly. If I could wish it, if I could make a deal with the goddamn devil and sign away some earned privilege I had in heaven, have a guaranteed heaven contract, I'd give it up just to send you to fucking hell, you piece of shit. You're the kind of crap that deserves it. You deserve every bit of it, you fucking cunt. You deserve to have your nuts cut off and shoved up your fucking nose, you big, fat, ugly face. Fuck you, die, you ugly motherfucking cunt, sadistic bastard.
The rest of us to make up our own mind. Stick your button happy finger right
Well, you make up your own mind by creating people. That's making up your own mind. That's minding your own business, right, motherfucker? You can't mind your own fucking business. So if you're not going to endorse a system where fuckers like you mind your own fucking business, quit eating fucking animals, asshole. Quit reproducing animals, asshole. And quit fucking making more human beings, asshole. And then I won't have a fucking grievance with you. But as long as you're going to support Frankenstein's castle, as long as you're going to sup with that motherfucking devil, okay, then fuck you, okay? My torch is in the fucking closet. I'm just waiting for the legal right to light the motherfucker and grab my pitchfork and head for your fucking ass. I would like to do it personally. I would personally like a red button that just unleashes the devil hordes, and I'd like to be one of the little devil hordes, and I would like you to understand exactly what you're fucking imposing. I would like you to taste every miserable motherfucking bit of it. I'd like it to sit in your mouth. I'd like the putrid taste of the suffering you have imposed in your stupid, lousy, cunt existence to sit in your fucking mouth for fucking ever. Fuck you, you creepy, sadistic, ignorant piece of fucking shit. We all deserve the AK-47 nuclear radiation oil war bullshit. We all deserve absolute hell for what stupid motherfucking cunt humans have done with intelligence on this shit of a whole planet. Centuries of asshole like this fucking nut have sentenced sentient beings to. So yeah, we probably don't deserve the grace of a red button and a simple, graceful finish to this shit. Just for context, like I said, this is just a thought experiment. There's a truth here about right and wrong. There's a truth about wasting suffering, the most precious thing in the universe. And basically, there's lots of ways to look at the argument. You could say, well, yeah, this is why there was 300 or 400 years of slavery. It's because people just played along and they said it's okay to think it's okay. No, it's not okay to think it's okay. It's not okay. You have to do something about it to do something about it. You actually have to do something about it. And the least you can do is say something about it. The least you can say is say it's wrong. This is a DNA molecule. It's been playing a sadistic game, not by will, but by circumstance, not by volition, but by imposition. And it accomplishes nothing. It wastes suffering preposterously. It bleeds, literally, suffering. And that's all it does. And for what?
Okay, another video. Amazing. Okay, really big video day. All right, this guy, Meridian Frost, made a video regarding the Stickcam conversation I had last night. Part of it, anyway. I mean, it wasn't the whole night on this subject, but anyway. So here, I'm stuck with this, and just this, it's the pettiness and the cheapness of his fucking argument. Fuck you. Okay, I'll say that plain and straight. What a arrogant bastard. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, I could put a Hitler mustache on, and I could sit there and, mimic you and talk about how what you're talking about is just as draconian. To impose life is no better than to impose death. All right? That's just a reality, okay? That's a truthism, all right? You don't like that truth, but it's a fucking goddamn truth. It is the imposition that is the crime, jackass. And what you find, I couldn't care less about. Your last quote, that the dead are sitting around saying it is good to be alive, right there. I mean, what kind of silliness is that, all right? It's just, you're a fucking atheist. And what, you think there's all these dead people out there sitting around saying, oh, woe is me, I'm not alive, I don't get to have sex anymore? Bullshit. I don't get to chase the cheese anymore, right? I'm not horny anymore. All right, so let's get to the subject. Yes, I have made the point that certainly there's lots of affirmed people that have conditions, have reason to be complete, to be done with their life. And we don't allow them to humanely choose to die. I've made the point in the last video about capital punishment, in that this is no crime to humanely put people to sleep. There's no crime here. If they've committed a crime, they've committed a crime, and if people freely want to die, they should be allowed to fucking goddamn do it. And certainly there is 100% death penalty assurance if we only give the death penalty to people who confess to the crime and say, yes, give me the death penalty. And they are out there. And so we should just get about the business of doing it instead of playing this idiotic game, this fairy tale game. All right, so the whole idea of comparing me to Jim Jones is just, it is such a slander, such a disgusting, petty, cheap, intellectually dishonest, and there's no character to your intellect if you would resort to something like that. There is no evidence I have tried to manipulate or in any way seduce anyone to believe what I believe. I make my rational arguments, and I even make them in a rather offensive way. So fuck you. Fuck you. That I would ever try to control anyone else's thought processes or manipulate their thinking in any dishonest fucking way. Fuck you. All right, that point taken care of. Look, I'm sorry about your personal losses to suicide. I would argue that if this society got rational, okay, and then let's be clear, okay, more people die on the fucking highway because of drunk drivers, all right, than suicide, okay? More people die of fat. More people die of a lot of things than suicide. And you even quoted the statistics. Half the suicides die from firearms. Right, they have to choose a violent method because we'll give them no alternative. And most of these people that commit suicide, yes, they do it in secret because they can't talk to any of you motherfuckers openly about what they're feeling, because you motherfuckers will keep telling them that they are not allowed to feel what they're feeling, that they're somehow wrong, that you can't understand. Because you're so involved in chasing your cheese, you just can't understand that somebody else might be in enough pain to say it's not worth it to them. The cheese is not fucking worth it.
Oh, it's disgusting to have to make this argument. And okay, it's a fair game because I did bring it up. Okay, and it's a personal subject, unfortunately. Okay, because other people who feel the way I feel will never say it. Okay, because they know the ridicule they're going to be subject to. They know what's coming if they open their goddamn mouth on the goddamn subject. Because you motherfuckers will just label them insane, label them crazy, label them emotionally unstable, or some other bullshit. Because you're too intellectually dishonest to have an argument that is honest. Okay, so I'm honestly telling you, I'm not running from my old age. I'm not running from some infirmity in my old age. I'm saying to you that I was smart enough, very young in my life, to figure out that this is a cheese chasing game, that you never fucking win. You will, it's an addiction, okay? You are addicted from birth, all right? You're hungry and you consume. And you consume other feeling creatures. You step on shit. You're always going to be a selfish animal. And I knew that I saw that about myself. I'm saying, I want something. I want more Christmas presents. I want this. I want that. I want what he has. I want what he has. And then I figured out, damn it, that's bullshit. Why should I want what he has? He has a right to it. That is bullshit. And I figured out it's all about this goddamn want. And where does this want come from? Nature creates it in us. We don't have a fucking choice about it. It's imposed on us. And it's an imposition. And if I say this is a stupid ass, idiotic system, there's no fucking God. This makes no fucking sense whatsoever. A rational consciousness would not create this game, would not create feeling organisms that feed on feeling organisms. It makes no fucking sense. And so that's all I'm saying, is that you can play the game. That's your business. As I said, I intellectually think it is the right thing to do to press the button because I think this is a sick parasitic game. This whole crust of the earth is just covered. We're just parasites. We are all maggots. We got a mouth and an ass, and we just keep consuming, consuming, and shitting, and that's all we are. All right? And you want to glorify it and make it more, that's your business. That is your fucking right. As I said, for ethical reasons, I wouldn't press the goddamn button because you morons have a right to make your choice. Just as I should have a right to make my choice freely. And the choice shouldn't be to put a fucking gun to my head and blow my brains out. The choice should be as at least a humane death that you're going to give a child molesting murderer. I should at least have that. Okay, but what I really should have is a Dr. Kevorkian or somebody else that I can call up and say, it's time for me to go. I'm done. I'm finished. And we should have a procedure for that, a waiting period. I talked about all that shit, and you goddamn know it. In another video on the subject of the right to die, I did a random search for a video to respond to, so I watched I'll post a link. Watched the video, sort of a political discussion of the issues involved. Of course, it just focused on euthanasia primarily. The cliche arguments, the same arguments been yammered about for 30 years. Yes, we're living longer. We have to be more empathetic to the blight of, old age. Yeah, but nothing ever, nothing comes of the discussion, really. Nothing, no policy that has any real use to the human species. We're not doing much. The only way we're saving money in the medical system now is that, since they moved to the corporate medical structure in the United States, the HMO, when insurance runs out, hospitals are pretty good at killing you, once the money runs out, the full payment anyway. If you don't have private insurance to cover the gaps in Medicare, they'll kill you pretty quick. So anyway, it's just about collecting the money. It's about getting their 100 grand out of you and then, treating you like garbage. It's just all about money. So they always have some doctor, some other asshole who, voices their opinion. And, the doctors are the last person to speak about ethics, medical ethics, because they have a vested interest in the game. They make a huge profit off the system. And so their opinion should be really quite irrelevant because of their own prejudice, their own position of prejudice. And then also they already have a bent, they take this Hippocratic oath thing too seriously. They're not serving human need. They're imposing service is based on a strict definition of what people do need. Um, it's almost how psychology is practiced. The profession of getting psychiatric help or something. These psychologists have a bent, have a perspective on life, and all they're trying to do is get you to be one of the drones, get you to acclimate to the insanity. So anyway, there's never really a discussion about the real issue, which is um, the realization of our human right to invest our own welfare in our own judgment. It really isn't any of society's business deciding for people that life is worth living. That's kind of silly. Their only obligation is to protect people from making bad decisions or inconsistent decisions, inconsistent with their best judgment. And that can be avoided by giving people a power of attorney. Um, to create, you can create systems that safeguard, create a fail-safe system that can prevent the wrong people from getting the wrong power at the wrong time to do the wrong thing. And it's not about a way. Again, it's about the will. It's about people acknowledging that fact that there can be a system that protects the disabled and protects even those who are a horrible blight on the economic structure of the system. But if they desire to be that, if they desire to live, then you can protect their interests. But people who've had it, people who've drawn the conclusion that the life doesn't have the value or the meaning sufficient to their standards, should have a right to invest in that judgment. If they're making a rational decision consistent with their long-held philosophy, it should be respected. Nobody should be forced to guillotine themselves in some. Well, it's not too bad. There's not even an effective way to do that. But anyway, people should not be expected or required to impose a violence on themselves. To deny medical technology in accomplishing the task of ending your life gracefully is no different than denying anesthesia to appendicitis patients or something. It would be disgustingly dishonest rhetoric for someone to argue you have a right to die. You have a right to live, or you have a right to an operation, and at the same time say, but you can't have anesthesia, and the doctor can only use a knife and a fork. That would be stupid. It would be insulting. But that's how this rhetoric and this discussion always turns. It's because people do have an agenda, and largely it's again the same problem that people have. They have personal philosophical attachments to social clubs called religions, and in those clubs they're not allowed to do something without being frowned upon. So because it's not a right there, they feel they would ever exercise the right to die. It's easy for them to just wipe it out of the Constitution, wipe it out of human existence, wipe it out of rationality. They don't have to acknowledge that the right should even exist because they don't care. They're not going to use it, so they'll take it away from somebody else. There's lots of people willing to sacrifice other people's rights on the altar of their philosophy. And this, like a lot of other issues, whether it be abortion or, any of the vice laws that exist, it's just people selling out other people's interests and rights. It's because people have no respect for the principle. So beyond just the principle, where you should have the capacity to respect a person's right to say, no, I'm not really interested in playing the game any further. I really don't buy your argument that life is all that great. It's, beyond just accepting the principled argument that people have a right to disagree with you. There really is, a substantial body of evidence to demonstrate that life isn't perfect. It's not even close to that it's not a gift. And people have a right to say return to sender. They have a right to say no, thank you. Just rationally, a person should be able to appreciate that. And then when you look at our society, if you've had any kind of realistic exposure to what happens to people when they live too long, and the indignities they endure. To say that you would want that to happen to yourself is it would be amazing. And I think the only way people escape that notion is they think they somehow have special luck powers, and that worst case scenario somehow isn't going to happen to them. They're not going to get Alzheimer's, and they're not going to be lying, naked in some nursing home, babbling to themselves while 3 or 4 interns, spray a hose on them to wipe off and wash off the feces and other shit. I mean, that's the reality, and to not acknowledge the existence of it. And this is about, something pretty damn important. It's about suffering and imposing it on other people. I mean, you really can't, in my opinion, you've committed a huge ethical crime. The usefulness of your existence is going to be substantially compromised if you are part of a mission that ends up preventing people from being able to control and reduce the amount of suffering that exists. I mean, there's no way to undo that, the negative impact of your life. I mean, you'll go to your grave, and what the historical story that'll be written about your life, and written by the imaginary authors of hindsight or whatever, is that you were a jerk, an idiot. I mean, that you imposed unnecessary suffering on other human beings for no other reason, because then you had some notion in your head, that you could judge what other people should expect life to be, and that you could tell them and force upon them your notion of its value. I mean, how dare you comes to mind, but it goes beyond that. I mean, you are destroying the productivity of your existence by being a part of, this popular morality that has really nothing to do with morality. Where you get on this bandwagon that life is good, and therefore we can't allow the nasty want-to-diers to gracefully get about their business. So anyway, it's really irritating that the discussion never gets to the real guts of the issue, which is it's not about your evaluation of somebody else's circumstance and your judgment that, yes, they are suffering enough for me to say, yes, they're entitled to a euthanasia or an ethical or a peaceful death. It's not about your opinion. It's about the individual experiencing the experience's opinion and what they believed, and about your contempt, which is expressed in your laws, for them exercising their right to say, no, I don't buy it, I don't see it, I don't appreciate it, I don't want it. People can have their own definition of a life worth living. They're entitled to it, and they're entitled to some realistic ability to invest in it. And it's not only in the society's best interest to allow people to say no to life financially, it's just an ethical mandate of decency not to enslave people to your propaganda, to your notions, to your beliefs, to your religion, to your nonsense. All right, well, there's some news in the subject of euthanasia, right to die, assisted suicide, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, but we'll get to that in a minute. The Morbid Atheist did post a video response to the last video, and it's pretty good. I mean, he does this style with playing the video games and talking, which is pretty good. Except it was kind of a lame game he was playing, so. But anyway, it was what he said was good. The content was good, and so it's a video worth watching, I think, if you give a damn about the subject. Another thing I guess I'd mention is that the point of this channel is sort of to organize people. So some of this stuff's going to just be redundant. I mean, I'll do videos, and the intent is that maybe some new person will see it and they'll say, ah, yeah, that's a good subject. We ought to do something about that. And so the idea is, to organize people. So I'm not asking you to subscribe because, whatever. Just subscribe to say, yes, I support this subject, this point of view on the subject. Because the only way anything's going to change is has to be enough people that give a shit to change things. And it doesn't look like we're anywhere close to where we need to be. So anyway, in the news, there's this organization called Final Exit Network. And apparently they were centered in Georgia. And the FBI, and working through all the little state bureaus in 9 states, decided to arrest some people and harass these people for helping other people to die. And I think they've helped a total of 62 people or something. Whoop-de-doo. All people that have a story. And it's just so lame, because the argument, oh yeah, we can't allow people to make a determination for themselves when they've had enough of something. And even though this guy had throat cancer, and even though he had surgery, words that should scare the shit out of you, cancer and surgeries, no, it's not good enough because he wasn't terminally ill. It's disgusting. I mean, the fact that we even have to talk about this or do something about this, or that it takes any effort at all after the whole Kevorkian thing, to realize that people just don't give a shit turns my stomach in such horrible directions. I hate the fucking human race. Yeah, I curse you all to die. Harris, how's that? Oh, that's right. You've already been cursed to die. Well, then I hope you get exactly what you deserve, which is no empathy. Let nature and humanity throw its worst at you. Every steel rod they can shove up your ass. Every little test they can do on you. Everything they can shove down your throat or into your ear or whatever the fuck they can do to you. You deserve it. You deserve every fucking horror nature and humanity can impose on you. Human beings suck. I mean, if you can't have empathy for people in pain, I don't know what can I say? Yeah, I hate your fucking guts. You make me sick. You make me want to puke. I hate the human race. I hate it with an intense passion. If the button to blow up this motherfucking planet was in front of me, I would smash it to hell. All right? Because we don't deserve to be here. Our intelligence is a waste. All it is a scheming tool so we can rip somebody else off, rip their skin off and eat it. We suck. And the fact that we can't, the fact that there's not enough intelligent human creatures on this planet, out of 7 billion of them, to be able to see to it that people in pain receive empathy. There's just nothing. What can be said to this? What words can I utter out of my mouth? It's unacceptable to me personally. Okay, you don't meet my standards, human beings. You're worse than animals. You deserve, like I said, you have the knowledge and the wisdom to know better, and you don't do better. And there's no excuse for that. I mean, so yeah, I wish every serial killer out there, I know I can't say that word, every plague, every blight, every volcano, every disaster that can fall on you, unfortunately, you deserve every bit of it. Because when you can make no effort at all, when you can do absolutely nothing at all to prevent horror, you'll do nothing. I mean, when it takes no, you don't even have to put a dime in the slot. You don't have to sacrifice a motherfucking thing to have respect for somebody else's right to die. I mean, if you don't want the right, if you're afraid that you're going to go crazy and say, I want to die when you really don't want to, you could just sign a waiver saying, I don't want the right to die. We can print it right on your driver's license. Do not give this person any autonomy. Do not respect his wishes, okay? Because he must be insane because he's saying things that are inconsistent with what he said before. You want that written on your driver's license? Fine. You want to give away your freedoms and your rights? Fine. There's nothing wrong with a society allowing you to say, don't let me be free. Don't let me make decisions for myself. We can do that for you. But don't you take it away from other people. Don't you insult them and patronize them and say, I know better what your cancer is. I know better what your throat surgeries mean. I know better what the quality of your life is. I know better that you should want to live. I mean, it's disgusting. It is so disgusting. I mean, if I had a gun, I would, boom, 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 I'd shoot you all, fuckers. I mean, you're all fucking out of your mind. It is sadistic. It is worse than murder. It is worse than murder to impose life on something that is suffering. That is worse than murder. No doubt about it. No fucking doubt about it. And that's what you are. You're worse than murderers. You are sadistic, evil bastards. So yeah, that's what else can I say? And I know most of the people probably listening to this are not the sadistic evil bastards. They're just the people saying, oh, I know, it is fucked up. But like I said, you got to do something about it. You could at least comment on a video. You could at least post a video response. You could hit the subscribe button. You could just lose little tiny motherfucking things to say, yes, we've got to do something about this. We've got to organize and we've got to demand rights for people in pain. It's insane. It is just that. It's just insane to not accept that this life thing is not free. And it's not a gift from God. We're not offending a God by saying, no, this is enough pain. This individual's in a circumstance I understand. Yeah, there's no point in living in that circumstance. What is this? This is just... So anyway, I don't know if I even got to the news story, but the point is they arrested these 4 people, for, providing the charming medical technology of, a plastic bag and helium gas. And they don't even provide it. They just tell the person where to buy it. I mean, it's just, this is horrible that we can't do better than this as a society. If this is, like I said, if this is what we are, we deserve our wars. We deserve the horror. We all of it. There isn't even a punishment we can impose on us that is suitable to what we deserve if we can't do better in this case. I mean, if this is just, it's just too insane for me to even, I can't put it in my brain and say, how does this make any sense at all? Who are these people walking on the streets? Who are these crazy fuckers that could look somebody in the face who doesn't even have a face anymore and say, no, you should suffer some more because I think so. I mean, well, whatever. So no need to say anything else. Just really depressing, really discouraging, really alienating, really just makes you want to turn the key off. I've seen enough. It's one of those kind of things. I've seen enough. So till next time, if there is a next time, whatever. Yeah.